to confirm, we'll do the trailer recording at the end, right?
At the end, but we're also live on YouTube. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Poka YouTube and to the very first episode of Poka Reads, the Poka book club, basically. We're reading Perspectives by our very own Elise Tirza. She is Poka's medical lead, but also a published author. So, without any further ado, let the discussions begin. Elise, over to you. She'll be moderating.
All right. Um, very excited that we are reading Perspectives. Guys, tell me what you thought. Everyone, what were your thoughts about the book? Just overall thoughts, everyone. Anybody can go first.
Don't all speak at once.
Nanaja,
Go first.
Yeah.
My thoughts. Yes. Thoughts about the book. I found that there were a lot of characters, and usually I enjoy following two at most three or four characters. When there's a lot more characters, I start getting lost in the plot a little bit. So I was like, I don't know who's who, but then that makes sense. It's called perspective. So obviously there'll be different perspectives. So that was my first thing. I liked the setting. It felt familiar because I'm Ghanaian, it's by Ghanaian, they're Ghanaian characters. So that was felt familiar, that felt relatable. The names and the church stories were also relatable because I'm Christian. I go to church, not quite the same church as the characters go to, but church in general. So that also was, quite relatable. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
Okay. Anyone else? Jessie?
Yeah, I think similar to Nanajwa, felt very relatable because Ghanaian. The setting wasn't, the entire church arc wasn't so familiar to me because I'm Catholic, and I think maybe the church I went to, Catholics are not so judgmental. And it felt quarantine, but I've heard people, talk about, especially Pentecostal churches. I liked some of the characters, others not so much. Some of the stories were sad, some had, I think we'll get into the actual stories and the characters very soon. But yeah, I liked some of the characters, some.
Okay.
Some of the stories were sad, some had, I think we'll get into the actual stories and the
What is happening?
But yeah, I like some of the characters.
Playing from YouTube.
Okay. I think someone is watching.
Sorry, no,
some of the stories were sad, some had, I think we'll get into the actual stories and
What is happening?
But
The worst nightmare. Having to listen to myself consistently.
Sorry, no,
some of the stories were sad, some had,
I mean, I'm muting your.
Hi, everybody. Sorry. So yeah, the YouTube was playing in the background. I was checking on my phone to make sure that it was actually live. And anyways, it should be sorted now. Yeah, hopefully it's sorted and hopefully it's still recording. Sorry about that. Who was speaking? Jessie, you went already, right? Okay.
Next.
Yes. So, yeah, so I'm not too much of a reader, and so I've personally felt that it was a very good first book for me to read as somebody who wanted to start reading. So it wasn't cumbersome. It caught my attention right away from the beginning because I picked it up one Sunday evening, and it kept me engaged for a few hours as I read through it. I like that I could finish the chapters and move from page to page. The language didn't feel heavy. So I was quite happy with that aspect of it, because there's that whole thing of, if you start reading a book, especially once you haven't read for a while, and you start a book and it's not that enjoyable or it's too heavy, you might, that already discourages you. So from that perspective, I really liked it. A very good sort of book for those who want to get back into reading. I did. I also thought I was surprised, because I didn't know what to expect. And yes, the book is called Perspectives. I was surprised that it was it was very character driven. And maybe we can talk a little bit about what, how people structure, their storylines. But this one, there wasn't a lot of like description about, oh, and then like a lot of setting descriptions. It was really about the characters, very heavily focused on their characters, their personalities, and the things that they were going through. So that was also a different, from what sort of like I, have thought it might be. It was a little bit different, but it was good. I enjoyed that. I did find that it was quite heavily based in the church, and I'm not very much sort of in the church at this time, so I was, it was a new perspective for me, really. So I know we'll probably get into more of that later, but overall, it was an enjoyable read. Interesting characters. I can see them existing, I believe, in real life. But I enjoyed it overall.
Nice. Okay, so that's exciting. So in giving us your overall thoughts, I feel like most of you, all of you, talked about like the writing style, how it was character driven and very like had a lot of characters. So maybe let's go straight into who was your favorite character and why.
I forget their names because I read it, I think, the first week of March.
Yeah, let me bring my copy. What?
Let me go back. Nadia.
Nadia was your favorite character?
I have my issues with Nadia, but I think of all the characters, she's the one I guess I like. I think she's a little bit weak.
Okay.
And maybe because of that, she's
weak in what way though?
Weak as a person.
Okay.
Because you have an ex-boyfriend who has treated you so poorly, who is basically trash, who wanted to be with you, and how many years later, 10 years later or something, he's married someone else, he's
More.
and he's come back and you're giving him the time of the day. Come on. Have a backbone,
Well, I
girl.
think just want
Do better.
closure, maybe, or for it
Not
to end
Nadia.
on her
Nadia
terms.
wanted the D, not closure.
That can be closure.
I know, right? The type of
Maybe.
closure,
Depends on
I
how
don't
you
know.
look at it.
Really hard closure.
So that made her your favorite character? Which is
Yes,
but you don't
I
like
just
her
wanted to
that
give her
much.
a hug and tell her that you're amazing. You can do better. You can do so much better than this man. And also show that she has a good heart. She forgives easily, because I'm not forgiving anyone who does this to me. Yeah. I think overall she was a good person.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Please,
hard to
similar
say.
for me. Like
Mhm.
Nadia kind of stood out for me as well, and maybe similar to what like Elise and Jessie is saying, the character. But I would say that she's, at least when I started reading, when I first met her, I felt like, oh, this is somebody that I feel for, and I want to see how things turn out for her. So that was like my initial feeling about Nadia. I think that she took too easy on him and was just too quick to accept his terms. In the first place, I'm breaking up with you because you're not Christian enough for me. Yes, please. And she leaves. Oh, I'm back 10 years later. I'm still in love with you. I'd like to start something with you again. Yeah, please. So I was just like, Nadia, where is all the, I need some spine. If you're a bad girl, I want to see your bad girlness. She wasn't bad enough, in my opinion. But otherwise, like, I felt for her, like Jessie is saying, I wanted to like hold her hand and show her how to show men
Until the Pepe. I love it. Okay.
Pepper them.
Adele, your turn.
Me, favorite character. I don't know. I think I wasn't leaning one way or another in any way, but I think towards the end, I began to really like Ya, who was sort of like the elderly woman, the unmarried one, and not for any reason other than I felt like no, not Ya. Sorry, not Ya. The doctor.
Wendy?
The doctor is who I liked. Sorry.
Oh,
Ichan.
Yeah.
HR.
Yeah. It's Ya. Is
Um,
that how you say? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
Ichan,
I
yes.
take it back. No, yeah. It's yeah, because she honestly, in the end, I felt like she was the only one that was true to herself in any way. Like she was just unapologetically herself. You know what I mean? She went for her goals, even if it meant that she had to sort of like she wasn't. I felt like she was very much herself. She did things on her own terms. And I think really that was it. Everybody else was perhaps, what we've been talking about, maybe too concerned about what people thought about them, how they had to behave with society and all of that. Like they let too many other people's burdens sort of influence too much of their decisions. But Echia seems to move on her own terms. And she even went against her husband, who was such an asshole. Oh, we're on YouTube, sorry. But but who was
An asshole is an asshole. Doesn't matter where they are.
right?
Or where
But
they are.
like he was trying to hold her back, giving like jealous husband vibes, and she went against that because she's just like, I can't give up my dreams that I've been working towards, and I've been working towards. You met me as this person. Now you're trying to change me into somebody else. So yeah, I mean, long story short, she was mine only because she was able to be authentically herself throughout most of the book. Yeah.
And I agree. I feel like, especially in the Ghanaian setting, everybody, majority of people are concerned about what will the neighbors say? What will they say about this? Why I think back to some of the reasons why people didn't do the things they wanted to do, and it all boiled down to people will talk. People will say this, people will do that. So it was a very important theme for me to add to the book because it's a common theme. I'm guessing in most of Africa, but in Ghana, it's very prominent. Everybody, especially in the church where I grew up, everybody is concerned about what will people say. So yeah.
Who was your favorite character writing?
I think Bruma was my favorite character writing. I wanted to write him as a weak man. And I think I achieved
These
that
are fighting words.
Wait, hang on. You wanted to write him as a what?
A
as
weak
a
man.
weak man.
A weak man, right?
And I feel
You
like I
succeeded.
achieved that.
Yeah.
A lot of men in power in Ghana, at least growing up, at that time, I don't think I would have considered them weak, but I grew up and I'm like, some of these character flaws, some of these things that these people say and do really just shows weakness, but they don't realize it, right?
Mhm.
So I wanted to write that into his character as a weak man. I mean, and I also wanted to write into his character somebody who's in power, who doesn't have it all figured out. People always think that if somebody's in power, they have things figured out. I wanted to write a character where people know that he might be in power that he didn't even want in the first place, but regardless, he's there and he doesn't have it all figured out. And they can have mental health issues, and people don't realize that. That was also important for me to add because it's very taboo for people to talk about their mental health issues in Ghana. And depression is very common. And especially being a man, it's difficult for them to come out and say, oh, I'm depressed or I'm seeing a therapist. I feel like it's gotten better over the years, but imagine your dad or your granddad a couple years ago saying, I'm in therapy because I'm depressed. His friends will make it look like he's going mad. Like it would be such a big deal, such a weird thing that we've never heard of. So that was also important for me to add in the book. So yeah, Bruma was my favorite character to write, I think.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Okay. So now that we've gotten favorite characters out there, who were your least favorite characters? I feel like everybody might end up with one least favorite character.
Who do you think will be the least favorite character?
All the men in the book were my least
It's not
favorite.
her fault.
Sorry, who?
I said all the men in the book were my least favorites.
Elise, who do you think will be our least favorite character?
I feel like a lot of people don't like Sarah people don't like Sarah.
I
But
actually like
it's
Sarah.
It's not her
Very
fault.
controversial.
Yeah.
Is this Bruma's wife? This is Bruma's
Yeah.
wife,
Bruma's
right?
wife,
Sarah.
yes, Sarah.
Oh, I don't know. She's
I
not.
absolutely
I don't
detest
dislike her.
Bruma. Cannot stand him. I think he's a weak man. I think he's
Wow.
his spine. I think he's manipulative. I think I'll give my reasons, but let me get through all the bad words. Any more synonyms, please, Najwa? What are the bad words? Yeah, he has no spine.
Get a picture.
Yeah. So Bruma is married to Sarah. He's a pastor, right? He's a preacher, he's a leader in the church, whatever. First, he's dating Nadia, whom he loves. He claims he loves. They've had 2 abortions, I think. 2 abortions because they were not ready. That's fine. No judgment
Not
here.
even that, because of what people would say.
Or because of what people would say. That's fine. And your mother forces you to marry a woman. First of all, that's such a weak move. You're an adult.
But also a very Ghanaian move, right? A very, very
I am Ghanaian and I'm a woman. I can't imagine my parents forcing me to marry someone I don't want to marry. Because I'm in the marriage without them, and you're a man.
No,
You have a
circumstances, it could be very different.
Yeah.
Right. If you rely on your family for financial support for so many
If
things.
any man relies on their family for financial support, it's a point when they should be getting married. So because of that, your family will have input. It's not a man I want to marry or meet. Is there a man any one of you would want to marry?
In Bruma's defense,
it depends how much money. How much money are we talking about?
True. Actually, you're right.
Exactly. Is it a trust fund?
I'm not a fan of Bruma. I'm not a fan of Bruma.
I forget the
Adwoa.
The Nigerian
Adwoa.
the refinery guy. What's his name? No, the actual no, in real life. The village guy.
Otedola.
Dangote,
but I meant the other one. If you have that kind of money, sure, let your father slap you around. I'll be there to pick you up afterwards.
No, but I was going to say, in Bruma's defense, we're told that he was a rebel or a bad boy back in the day. So rebellious, maybe smoking, maybe getting into whatever, having lots of sex. You know what I mean? So he was a black sheep in the family. And I find, black sheep at some point want that redemption. And so I think he was being he was tired of being an outcast, or maybe had gone over that phase. And Nadia was part of that story, that character, that bad boy character. And so I think he was going through a redemption. His parents had sort of brought him back into the church, made him turn on the path to pastor. And so I think in order to prove that he was worth investing in again by his parents, prove that he wasn't a bad boy, he kind of allowed them to pick his wife. This is kind of what I saw, which isn't, I'm not saying that that's right, because
and that's fine. And that's fine. As much as I think it's wrong, that's fine. So you marry Sarah, an innocent girl, and at some point we also get a tiny perspective. I would have wished to see more of Sarah's perspective as well, because we also realize she's married to this man she doesn't love. She's also a church girl. She's been told that she's been told, keep yourself clean or pure, whatever it is, church speak, and then find yourself a church man. She also doesn't love this man, but we don't see her perspective. We only see his perspective, just a glimpse of her perspective when I don't know if it's in a letter or something where she says, I was told to marry you or whatever. But from Bruma's perspective, that's fine. You marry Sarah. You've made your choice as a man. Own the choice. You don't. You are having issues. You don't love your wife. You, as a man, what do? ask for divorce. You go to find your ex-girlfriend and you start talking to your ex-girlfriend about your marital problems. Extremely disrespectful as a pastor. Why are
As
you
a
talking to
person.
someone as a person? Full stop. Why are you talking
As a
to someone you
person,
had a
yeah.
thing with in the past about your marital problems, regardless of how terrible you think your wife is? What are you doing? You're talking about your sex life and how your wife doesn't want to have sex. Imagine if Sarah had gone to do that with someone she was seeing in the past because I was forced to marry this pastor and I don't even love him. And when he touches me, I don't feel anything, blah, blah, blah. Would have problems with it. Let's not excuse bad behavior. And the crowning moment for me, the part that made me realize, oh my goodness, I cannot stand this man, is when he tried to kill himself. What are you doing?
I'm
Like,
confused.
I feel like it was so manipulative. You write a
Why
letter
do
to
you,
Nadia, and
But why do
and
you
then
think
it
it
did
was
so well for
manipulated?
him. Like there was such an out for him. You end up with a girl you love. It was such an easy out. And then this girl who was also sort of like you, didn't love you. In any case, she had the short end of the stick. You were free to live the kind of life you want, sleep with girls, have abortions, whatever, and end up with the love of your life. She kept herself waiting for the man that she's been promised. And I mean, we know all of these things are not whatever, like just because you're a virgin doesn't mean you're going to end up with a good guy. And then she gets this man who she's not sexually attracted to. And as women, I think we know, like if you're not sexually attracted to someone, even the thought of them touching you is enough to repulse you. And that's where she
to
was.
dry you up.
I know, right?
Shriveled.
I think Sarah got the short end of the stick. And I would have loved to see a happy ending for Sarah and see more of her perspective as well. I know it's a little bit controversial, but I mean,
It is controversial.
I don't like Roma. What can I say?
Because I didn't like Sarah. I don't know why everybody feels like Sarah deserves some sort of grace or I don't know. I don't see Sarah's appeal, to be fair.
What did she do? What exactly did Sarah do?
She was very cold. She was very cold, very callous towards her husband. Did you see the letter that she wrote? Like she seemed okay, so I understand you're saying Bruma should have owned his choice and he should have, but Sarah should have also owned her choice and tried in her marriage.
Why are we giving Bruma grace and not Sarah?
We're not giving
Who
Bruma
said
grace.
you were
Listen,
giving Bruma grace?
I'm about to get into Bruma. Don't worry.
Sarah's not the main character. Sarah's not the main character. Sorry to hear.
Sorry. Exactly.
I know.
Sorry to
Her story
Sarah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, she seemed very cold. She seemed very, and maybe you're right. I mean, that's the thing. We can't blame her because that's how she was indoctrinated or raised essentially. And so she probably wasn't even allowed to show a sort of affection. She was probably taught that, sex is, done a certain way, maybe not even like all that programming. So that might have affected how she was in her marriage. But even then, I didn't feel like she created, not to say Bruma did the right thing, but she didn't create the right environment within the home for him to come to her with some of the issues that were affecting him. But anyway, anyways, we're on bad character. We're the characters we don't like. So I don't know. Nanadwa, who was your least favorite? Him too?
Um, least favorite. That's a bit. It's hard because, like I said, I didn't love anybody, so I didn't have strong feelings against other people either.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel like I think there was a lot of potential to bring out more things about certain people that would have maybe elicited more of an emotional reaction for me.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I can't specifically say I hated this person or I like this person. I do think that at least if you meant to write Bruno as a weak character, then he probably succeeded because he was he was not a likable person. Like I said, I felt for Nadia. If I felt anything for anybody, it was for Nadia. Bruma did not inspire anything in me. It almost felt like maybe Nadia settled for him. And it was just like, oh, her marriage didn't work out. She has a child now. Her ex that she never really got over is back. So she kind of just gave in. And this was not really what she would have wanted. So if I have a visceral reaction to anybody, probably it will be Puma. But even then, I can't even work out the dislike for him. It's just like meh.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say that, yeah, I mean, all the men except for Adiola, I think at the end, even him. But yeah, all the men were somewhat unlikable in the book.
They
Um,
were stuck.
Bruma, I think, well, Bruma
Was that
especially.
written on purpose? To make the men more unlikable than the
I
women?
actually did not set out to do that. And perhaps it's a bias. Perhaps I just decided, you know what, like this is what men are doing in real life. So let's write that. But I didn't have in mind the way I tried to write. I mean,
It's men.
that's what it's starting to look like. But like
No, I don't think you came across
we
that.
live in a patriarchal like the patriarchy has been winning in Ghana for so I mean worldwide, but like very prominent in African settings. So I feel like a lot of the things that I wanted to debunk were very um in that light. So it's sort of like Ichan, like a lot of men that think that if their wives are earning more than them, then it doesn't make sense. Or if their wives are making it more than them, then they cannot handle it. Like I can't write a woman in that like position because that's the norm. People find it fine if woman is making less or is less successful. So things like that. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I would say Bruma was probably my least favorite as well, just because, yeah, I think he was using Nadia in some ways. He knew in many ways that she never got over him, and he took advantage of that. And I think he also knew her kind heart and sort of the length she would go to sort of help him or support him, and he took advantage of that. And again, it was just yeah, yeah. So he was, Jesse kind of covered all the reasons why he turned out to be so unlikable. But yeah, in that way, he was also my least favorite. But I also didn't like which one was it? Ichia's husband. What was his
I
name?
was gonna say nobody's mentioning a chance
What?
husband. Like,
Yeah,
what's going
was it
on?
Jedu? No, that was it. Jedu wasn't him. What's her husband's name
Is it?
again?
I want to say some K name. Was it Kweku or something? Kwejo?
Not
No.
me forgetting the names of my
No,
characters.
Kojo was
Um, his name is Papa.
Yeah,
Papa, yes.
yeah,
Wait,
Ah,
is he the gay guy? He is a gay guy, right?
We
yeah.
don't
In the end, well, no,
know
he's
if
just
he's
curious. He's just
Or
curious.
bi
bisexual
or something,
or
whatever he is.
we don't
He's
know.
curious. He said he's curious. But yeah,
Okay,
I
fine.
don't like how
That's fine.
I don't like how he stonewalled his wife. Because even if he didn't like the decision, like, first of all, did she apply to this residency or whatever program in the US without his knowledge? Surely not. First of all, they were in it together. He couldn't pass the exams or whatever he needed, the applications that he needed to fill out. He couldn't do it. So he dropped out. And because she kept it, she kept on, she managed to pass. So I think that was one point of resentment already that she could do something that he couldn't, but he didn't expect her maybe to go, all the way. She gets the letter accepting her, something that that she's been, applying for or whatever. And he immediately stonewalls her. There's no discussion. There's no let's sit down and see how this was. Like from what I understand from the book, they never talked about it. He never sat down to say, how can this work? He never expressed his feelings to her, his fears, nothing. Just completely stonewalled her and forced her into a corner, and she had to make the decision for herself. And in the end, because she was a strong, authentic woman, she stayed true to herself and made a decision for her. But that was kind of strange. And I don't know, do men act like this? Like, okay, I understand if you're a baby boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe you're a teenager, but like this is a husband and you completely refuse to discuss a topic.
I love how much faith you have in husbands.
Husbands are just glorified
congratulate the
boyfriends.
Husbands are just the same as boys.
But in her defense,
I
she
know
means
congratulate
teenage boys
the
and grown
husband,
men.
surely.
A bad
Think
boyfriend
about
will
it,
make the
guys.
same bad husband. Okay.
that's the thing, Adele. There are great men out there. I mean, I have one, but like the point is, a lot of
Okay.
men learn to um express their feelings. So it's sort of like my way or the highway, and they're used to that. So if it's not his way, then it's the highway. And it's still happening today in 2025. And it's unfortunate.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it's that dynamic that has just been built. If that has always been how their relationship is, where he has the final say and she always, lets him get his way, then this was no different, right? He wasn't really acting out of character. So I guess a man will always treat you how you let them treat you. And if that's how it's been, I don't blame him. I mean, I do blame him. It's horrible, but
Yeah. I almost panicked for a second when I thought she wasn't going to go. I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
get to
I
you.
know. I
but
know.
as
You
someone
you
who
know
That's
the
did,
a
number
certain word.
who have had to
Sorry?
succumb to that. The number of women who have decided to stay because their partner is like, okay, this job is going to make you it's going to make you proud.
it's gonna make you better than me, and then you're
Yeah.
going to leave. I think that's their ultimate fear.
It's
Is that if
insecurity.
you have your independence, you've
That's
got your
why
money, you've got everything, you don't need
that is
them.
why you have to be proud from the beginning. So then no,
Yes.
it's not the money.
I
You
think that's
have
the
to be
trick.
proud. You
That's the
have to
trick.
be
So they know
assertive.
that I've married a rude woman.
This is me.
It's not
It has got
money.
nothing to
A
do with the
rude
money.
It's
girl.
respectful from day one.
Yeah, and
So
also I
don't
guess
confuse
there's a
them
bit
when
of a disconnect there because Ichia never, I mean, for as far as I know, unless they were together and she changed as a person, but it seems like she's always been this very strong, independent, very driven,
ambitious,
ambitious
yeah.
woman. So either he was misled to believe that once he wifed her, that character would simmer down, which I think some people tend to think is just like, oh yeah, she's just wild, she'll calm down, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe he went into the marriage thinking that he would get a different submissive woman because she isn't one. And as far as we know, she never was one. Or, or I don't know, like because those two are not well matched in terms of
I think there had been opportunity for him to see, because if we're both making it, it's fine. Like you're not above me, I'm not below you. We're both making it. We're both working well, working hard. You do, you let me do
And
me.
both of them being doctors in Ghana, he will definitely get more respect than she will.
Exactly.
Yes.
So then in that setting, it's like there hasn't been opportunity for him to feel like, oh, she's going to do better than me. So it's sort of like now that dynamic has come up, he's only now realized, oh, she's actually going to do, and I don't even think it's considered doing better than you. It's just the whole situation of going to do what she wanted to do. It has nothing to do with being a doctor in Ghana.
I mean, it's a
make
family. You're doing
any
better for the
less
family.
doesn't make you any less of a
Yeah.
doctor than being a doctor anywhere else. You know what I mean? So it's just in his mind, if he doesn't decide that he's moving, she shouldn't decide, which doesn't make any sense.
Because if it was the other way around, it wouldn't even be a question. She would pack
It
up
would
and follow
exactly.
him.
No.
Yes.
Question. It'll just be
She'll
like,
probably
when
quit her job and pack up and go with him.
Exactly.
You know.
When
And
are you
he
leaving?
wouldn't,
Not, are
and I
you?
don't think he wouldn't have asked her, oh, should I do this? Should I not? He would have made the executive decision that he's doing it. And
We
she
are
would have
doing
not
this.
even protested, just knowing her character, and should have just supported him. So the fact that in the reverse, he didn't do that, stonewalled her, and also ruined her experience a little bit. That really upset me because it's like you're looking forward to something your whole life and you finally get it, but you're not getting the support from the one person that's really, you're really want the support from. So her experience when she did go was lackluster. She was missing her home. She was always calling him. He wasn't responding. So it was also very wicked of him to take a bit of that from her. You know what I mean? He took that from her. And then after all that, after all that, only for her to find him in a bed curiously
It's
doing
wild.
what he's doing with someone
No,
else.
Let me tell you
I
though
mean,
that
I did think that arc for me came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like,
I do know a
it was
true story where a
really
lady
based on true
found out
events.
that her husband was sleeping with a man who she had thought was his best friend the whole time. And this was all in the church. Let me tell you, church drama is very church
This
drama.
is best friend.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So there was no signal that he was even like, yeah. So Jessie, you're right. We weren't warmed up to the fact that this might be lurking in the background with him. So it was quite shocking. I mean, I didn't even think he was the kind of guy who would cheat, but there he
In the
was
first place, yeah.
with
I
a with
guess
a
maybe it
Really
also
cheating.
mimics how exactly how she felt. She was probably caught off guard. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes things
Yeah.
happen and people have no clue. So the same way the reader felt kind of caught off guard, she felt caught off guard too.
yeah.
True. That's a very good point, Rose. That's probably why we didn't see it coming because we were supposed to be as caught off guard as Achan was. Because if like it would never have crossed her mind that his best friend was more, then it shouldn't cross our minds as readers either. So that's probably yeah
Mm-hmm.
why it turned out the way it did.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
And I feel like in the current climate, if a woman knows that her husband is cheating, she's likely going to leave. So most of the people that are with their partners who are cheating don't know. You know, it's like they don't know that this person might cheat or will cheat or has even the tendency to cheat. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. A
For
lot
her,
of,
good
Okay.
for each other. Did they have kids? I don't remember.
no,
No,
they didn't.
they didn't have kids.
Yeah. I feel like it's always easier when they don't have kids to separate because, yeah, kids make it, people decide to stay for kids. People decide, let me
Yeah.
make this work for kids. And they take up a lot of stress, unnecessary stress, because I'm doing it for the kids. And then the kids grow up seeing a kind of marriage that they
Fractured
shouldn't
family.
be
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
And
And they
then
say, why did you stay?
exactly, they internalize that and then they're like,
Ridiculous. I did it for you.
And
You
are
know,
They're
angry
gonna
at the
appreciate it.
parents
Yeah, the
for
kids gonna
taking such,
appreciate it.
especially
Like,
angry at the mom for taking such crap from the dad all of these years. Like,
yeah,
exactly. And she's
yeah.
like, I did it for you. They're like,
I think if
nah,
you decide
ruined
to
me.
stay for your kids, you should make it work and have a good family.
Yes.
Like,
Don't
truly
let
forgive.
them see anything negative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Make
Yeah.
it
And
work.
don't pretend,
Otherwise,
like,
they'll hate you at
truly
the end of
work
it.
on your marriage.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think that we did see that. We saw Andrea and Jedu. Was that, I don't know what Jedu's role in the church was, but Andrea was, oh, haha, Andrea's the freaky one. She wanted more. And he was like, he didn't want to give more.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Andrea
I
was like,
remember.
I'm not getting enough D up in this house. What's happening?
Like,
he was like,
is that
I'm
like,
paying the
is
school
that
fees.
normal?
I'm
And she
doing all
wanted
of
to
that.
try
That's
different positions. He's like, no, we must not. We must only do one. He was like, all this.
But
So,
usually, isn't it the other way around? Usually,
right?
isn't it like
You
the
would
man
think.
trying to
One
get
would
more?
think.
For Andrea, I mean, hey, that's it.
No, but that's why he was so embarrassed because, yeah, I think the perception is always that the woman is more reserved and sort of the man has to coax her or force her to do A, B, C, D in bed, right? But for her, it's reverse. And I also did like her character because she found, I believe, such happiness with OJ at the end because she took that decision. She had twin boys. She wasn't getting what she wanted from her marriage. She tried fixing it. I'm not sure what his response was. Ah, yeah, his response was basically, I can't go for
what will
counseling
people
because the
say?
church will know,
What will
I
people
don't want
say?
anybody. Yeah, basically his
Mhm.
response was, we can't fix this marriage because then that would make it public that we have marital issues. And so I don't want that. And then she asked for a divorce. She asked for a divorce. I think she did consider her children, and in the end, she did go through with the divorce. And found a much better guy who loved her children and created like a healthy family unit that they could thrive and set a good example for the children. So that whole argument of staying for the kids, I think we talked about a little bit, is kind of null and void because unless you're working on a marriage and creating a family environment that's healthy, then you might as well leave and set an example for your children that this is behavior or situations that they should never tolerate or avoid. They should avoid in their relationships, right? So,
Yeah.
I've
yeah.
been hearing
I
recently
think
of like
divorce.
of the idea of married single women, which is basically women who are married, who are basically doing it all and living as
Everything.
though they're single. So why should they remain married? And that when they do divorce, things end up being easier because it's literally one extra child, their husbands, off off their plates. So that's an interesting concept where yes, while people do stay together for the kids, I think in a lot of cases, especially the reason why people divorce is that the women are feeling that they don't need this man anymore. They're doing all the work anyway. They're doing they have the job, they're paying the bills, they're taking care of everything. and the man is just coming along for the ride. So yeah, married single woman.
Yeah, but I think
So
I
sorry about
understand
that.
why people prefer to be married single women than just single women, because I think in society, whether it's Western societies or even the African society, that marriage badge is really one that holds a lot of clout still. You know what I mean? So if you're married and miserable, the most miserable and poor, you're still somewhat able to put your head up high above the woman that isn't married. You know what I mean?
It
And
should
women, and I
be.
think there were a lot of ego-driven characters in this novel, but everybody was very much, very centered about how I'm perceived and the hierarchy in which I'm ranked. And if you're driven by that rather than like personal happiness, you'll end up making choices to stay in, become, because at least I'm married. You can say that to somebody. You know what I mean?
I think that's why I wrote the character, yeah, because especially in the church, it's always been a very big thing of, oh, the women who want to get married, come and let's pray for you. It used to really stress me out because why are you only praying for the women and not the men? I think that in recent times, when they
Oh,
pray for people that want to get married, I think that now they do pray for the men as well. But growing
okay.
up, it was such a foreign concept. It was always like, oh, if you're a woman and you're not married, come to the front, let's pray for you. Like,
Hmm.
and then especially there were people that do not want to get married. And society says, well, if you're not married, we don't respect you. Or like, why are you not married? Or let me put blind dates with this idiots that I know. Like it's just stressful out there, right? And then people decide that they don't want to get married and people are just giving them grief for it. Or maybe they just haven't found the right person and people keep giving them grief for it. And so because of that, a lot of women decide that they'll settle for whoever, just like you said, for that badge of I'm married, at least I'm married. Meanwhile, they're going through it and then they're married.
That said, what did you guys think of Ya? I wasn't convinced that Ya didn't want marriage.
I
I think
don't think I
I
wrote her
think
to
Maybe
not
Ya
truly
I think
marry.
happy.
Ya is heartbroken or scared of commitment or scared of getting attached or being vulnerable. There's something there. I don't know. Did you guys sense that with that character?
Like she was doing too much. She was kind of trying to
Don't
convince us and herself that I'm fine, I'm happy and single.
I felt that way too, yeah. I think
Yeah,
she wanted to be married, and that's fine. It's fine to want marriage. It's fine to want a family. It's fine to um want all of the things. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't make you less than or more than or whatever.
yeah.
But if you don't find it, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, don't
Force
yeah,
settle.
yourself
yes, yeah,
into
that's the thing. If you don't
marriage.
find it, but
Yeah.
So
then what's the
I
right
don't think I
posture then?
wrote.
If you don't find it, are you supposed to be sad and live in the sadness, or just say, "Oh, I wish I had it, but it's fine. I don't have. It's okay."
Yeah, let me live my life.
Taking like that is
Yeah,
a good question.
I
Yeah.
think you can want something and have standards for yourself, and then because you're so multidimensional. You're not just a wife or a mother or an entrepreneur or a writer or a doctor or whatever you are. All of these things come together to make you who you are. So
Mhm.
if one part is a little bit lacking, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it can be your career a little bit lacking, and you have the marriage, the kids, the other things, and then your career is not really up to. What are you going to do? Just give up? You can have the career and the kids, and marriage is also lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
Just live a good life.
Make do with what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for Ya's situation, the way I came to that conclusion because she was so quick to adopt, right? To bring a child into her life, which I guess we weren't given well, I don't know. Like it seemed for me that she was a strong, independent woman who didn't want any of that. So it was strange that she would adopt, you know what I mean? So she's almost trying to create a family unit. I think there was mention of like a heartbreak, like a past heartbreak or some sort of relationship that didn't work out. I believe that something like that had happened. And also with the guy that she did eventually meet, the Nigerian doctor, Adiola, small thing he did, she was quickly retreating back into her shell. You know what I mean?
Small
I mean,
thing.
was it small? We can talk about that.
Small
But
thing.
I didn't think that
Somebody
was a big
still
deal at
married is
all.
small.
So
How
he's
is
Wait,
somebody
wait.
divorced.
What?
Wait, how is
Remind me.
somebody
What
still
did he do?
being he was still married?
No, he
What,
was
the
no, he
Nigerian?
hadn't signed his divorce papers. The guy, the last.
Is that not still married? I'm confused. Separated is different.
He's
So it's a
separated.
small
And
signature.
No, but
You
he
see, that's
wasn't
a-
lying. He was wearing the band. She could have asked if she wanted to, you know,
she didn't ask.
she didn't ask to. And then when he finally said, "Oh yeah, but I'm separated," and ABCD, sure, he was being a little bit, but it just seemed like she was looking for an excuse not to open her heart. So for me, that just says,
Especially if you
yeah,
have no problem
yeah,
dating
dating
when you
while
have
he
a
was
ring,
married.
Yeah, when the band was
and
there, you
you
were fine.
decide
You
not
didn't
to
complain.
ask. And when you finally ask and he tells you the truth, you are like, I'm not okay with the truth.
So I just feel like Ya is hurt or maybe doesn't know how to be vulnerable. And so her armor is that I'm independent and I don't want ABCD. But I feel like if the
I
story
don't need
perhaps
no man.
progressed, yeah, if the story progressed, I could see her eventually softening up to the doctor, I feel.
Yeah,
Those are my yeah.
Will there be a book two, Elise? Should we
absolutely.
expect more perspectives from this
Absolutely
perspective?
not. You know, I did want at some point I did want to write the character of Sarah, like because I wrote her to be not liked. But then a lot of the things that like I mean, there are things about her character I did not like, but a lot of them stemmed from her upbringing, the kind of society she's in, all of those things, right? So there was a time when I thought, okay, maybe I'll write Sarah's perspective, but I feel like I've given up on that thought.
Justice for Sarah.
No, but there comes a time where you can't blame the way you are or how your parents raised you. You know what I mean? Like there comes a time where you can't blame your shortcomings on your upbringing. We all have
With all of his, Bruma got away with it. With all the bad and that's fine for him. And what exactly did Sarah do? Sarah didn't really do anything. All because she said she had a dream he was
dead.
Yeah, he was dead.
He unalived
And then
himself or had to be unalived.
and she comes and she says, "Hey, I had a dream. Can you pull the plug?" I don't think that's bad.
Sarah's a wicked woman.
I don't
Sarah's
think
a
it's
wicked
a
woman.
bad thing. That's
Sarah's cold. She's
that the
callous,
author,
wicked.
the author who might not be in this room with us.
God is speaking to you through your dreams.
I put this squarely at the author's door. She wanted us to hate Sarah.
I absolutely
And
wrote
she failed.
Sarah to be
She failed
hated.
miserably for me.
You know, like I feel like this is the first discussion I'm having with like about perspectives where Sarah is not universally hated.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's why when I asked, who's your least favorite character? And I'm like, full disclaimer, it's not her fault. Everybody that I like,
not Sarah. No,
Don't tell me
a lot of
is
people
usually
do not
people's
like
favorite character.
It was Bruma.
Oh no. I think most people like
Icha.
or Icha.
Yeah.
Or
I see a chat. Yeah, I see that.
So yeah.
But can we spend some
chat is problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the chat quite a bit. Yeah.
I like Andrea too.
Wendy was maybe not so fleshed out, Elise. I feel like I didn't understand Wendy very well.
Okay. When I was growing up, I think it's something that still happens depending on church. When I was growing up, if you were to get pregnant out of wedlock, there's something that they call excommunicate. It's called excommunication. So they would call you out in front of the church. You don't get to be part of certain like committees or things like that. I mean, you still come to church. Now that I'm older, I know that they offer counseling to them. They have like I don't know, whatever. I don't know what to call it, reconciliation class. I don't know. But like they have discussions with them on this was wrong. Like they have I didn't know that growing up. All I knew was so someone I was going to and usually see the thing is that it was usually because they went to sleep with someone, they got pregnant. So it wasn't very much you've gone to do this. It was very much we've caught you. So if you didn't get caught, got away with it, you know. So it was like, so I remember asking my dad, I was a teenager, and I was like, you know that you people are just teaching us how to lie or how to hide our sins because we don't if nobody catches me, then nothing's like there are no consequences. So that's one of the that was the background for Wendy's story.
Mhm.
And very much you've gone to get pregnant. No, they don't know who the guy is. I mean, they'll ask you all of that, but if they don't know, they don't know. You are the one that's going to get
Mhm.
excommunicated. And as a woman, a pregnancy will always show, no matter what you do, it will show eventually. So they will know, right?
Mhm.
Unlike a man who can go sleep around with 50 women and nobody sees it on him. If whatever, his father's 10 children, nobody can tell, right?
Mhm.
Is there
So
an equivalent not crime? Is there an equivalent, I guess, sin in quotes for men where
I
they're
mean,
caught something
if
and they're
the
brought
if
To the
wedding?
church yeah,
I
because
know
it was public, this excommunication, and I think the whole point was to
it is
shame.
public.
It was to shame the person, and so using shame
But the
determine
woman
If a
points
man
out
is
who the
caught,
man was.
Yes, if they point out who the man was, they do, and they're both in the church, they'll excommunicate
they'll
both
shame
of them.
them both.
So it's not like,
is it
oh,
just
it's
for
a woman
sexual
type thing.
offenses,
No, but those
or
are
it's
probably the most common. But there's like
So the
if you
easiest ones to catch.
caught, if you were caught
no?
in
What
like
if it's obvious
embezzlement,
you have stolen, like you've stolen from
yeah,
people
they'll do
and
that, like
they'll do
embezzlement
that.
at your job, or like you stole church money, or like all those other things.
Elise, remember we had this in secondary school where they were altar girls. They would bring you to the front and we'll all stretch
Yes,
forth
and
our
it will
hands and
sing
pray for
for
you.
you. Dear Lord and Savior of
Wait, the
mankind.
pregnant
Very
girl?
passive aggressive. Actually, aggressive, not passive.
No, it's not passive at all. So wait, they would bring the
Terrible.
pregnant girl in front, and everybody will sing
Oh
on
no,
them.
not
Oh,
pregnant, not
in high
pregnant. This
school,
is
not
like
pregnant. It's like
if you
somebody
stole. This is secondary
cheated,
school.
cheated on her homework. I
An
remember the one
exam or you
like
stole something, you were caught. They will say,
Hmm.
and they will say it to this calm way, like, let's bring our sister to the Lord.
Oh
She has
no, I hate
fallen.
that.
And it's not
they
like
will
we're
sing,
angry with
we'll
you. We're
sing
just
that
sad that your
hymn.
soul is dark.
Oh no.
And then we'll stretch forth our hands and we'll pray for you and we'll ask God to save your soul. Oh God.
Oh
And
God.
they call them altar girls, the worst.
And you
I'm
guys
just
participate.
imagining
Altar
how
girls, don't we? No, we don't have altar. I
traumatic.
was saying in the Catholic tradition they have altar, but they're always boys, never
It's
girls.
altar boys,
Altar
yeah.
boys.
Um,
I'm trying to imagine how
I
traumatic
think
that
because my
would
church
be.
is on campus and students come to my church, and you can't really, it's you can't have this lifestyle or this culture in my church. It's very, and also most of the people are academics, and so all of these traditional church practices they
But my
don't
dad,
exist in my church.
so my dad says that if someone came and said, I did this, I am sorry, I know that I have sinned, and I would like for the church leaders to pray with me, it's a completely different process from caught you.
Getting
yeah.
like do a
Um,
If
pregnancy
you
test and it's
confess,
positive,
they're gentler
call
on
the
you.
pastor.
Yeah. If you confess.
like, so a lot of these things, I kept telling him, look, you're driving people out of the church, like all of these things. I grew up being able to ask all these questions because I'm really close to my dad. I ask him all these crazy well, they're not crazy, but like these questions that people in church otherwise cannot ask. So I feel like a part of me writing this book was like, okay, these are things that are happening in the church that people don't understand. And so let me incorporate it in the book and see what people's thoughts are. Because a lot of people don't know why we still do it. I still low-key don't know why we still do it, but
they're
they're
still
like,
doing it.
yes, ma'am. I mean, it's not as common, but it happens.
I feel like in my church they'll
Interesting. I
actually
thought it was
praise
like
you
a
for not
movie.
using contraceptives or getting an abortion. Because
You're like,
Lord.
contraceptives
good
are a
Catholic
no-no.
child.
This situation that
Right?
happened where
It's
I think
ridiculous.
the nurse should absolutely lose her license. So there was a girl in the church that got pregnant and decided that one, she doesn't want the shame of everybody in church is going to look at her funny and they're going to excommunicate all of that. And so she got an abortion. And this nurse came to tell the church people that this lady was in the hospital getting an abortion. I remember
That's a crime.
Was
That's
that in
a
the book?
crime.
That was in the book.
Crime
No, it's
now
not
it
in
is.
the book.
It
It's
is in the
real life.
book.
No, it's not. Is it?
The
Personal
story, there's a story.
information.
Was there a similar? Because I think it was Bruma after he was.
I think, he talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an actual thing that happened. And that's somebody that should lose their practicing license because you like HIPAA
There's
laws.
confidentiality.
Yeah.
I'll
patient
come after you. Like I will come after you.
The thing is that nobody said which nurse it was. Like they sort of like covered up for her, so we didn't know who the person that did the reporting was.
But then
But
the
that's
girl knows
somebody. What'd you
who
say?
was there when she went to do her abortion. The
So
girl
that's the
would
thing.
know who was there
I
when she
don't
went to
think
do
that
her
she
abortion.
saw. I don't think that she saw, because if
I
she saw,
would
she
sue
would
the
have
entire hospital. Sue everybody. Yes, I'm the abortion girl. I'm suing this hospital for the abortion. Now that everybody knows, let me just, keep it going.
Yeah, that's what she could have done, honestly.
So yeah, a lot of these things, like stigma towards like people like that, it's unnecessary to a large extent, but yeah, they still do it. And sometimes if they're not going to do it in like laid out in front of the church, they'll write like a letter and say so and so person has been relieved of their duties or has been whatever for they usually just put for gross misconduct. And that's
Okay, so we won't say what you've
enough.
done.
no, it won't say like, yeah, it'll just say for gross misconduct or yeah.
So, Elise, I think after reading the book, I don't know if this was intentional, but it's not really a favorable outlook on church in general. Like if I had never gone to church and I'm considering going to church, the description of, just the portrayal of the church in your book isn't really one that's warm and that's like it doesn't paint the picture of a space in which that I would willingly put myself in, because again, it's a space where there's a lot of hypocrisy in the book. There's a lot of ego-driven decisions being made, so not decisions that are made not based on compassion but really based on what will other people think of me, like preserving self-image and things like that. So, there were, I believe, also there were some, glimmer of hope. I think along the way you did pepper, I think at some point, yeah, said something like, we're all sinners and this is the place where we come to sort of, it's our hospital. I think she likened the church to a hospital, things like that. But I'm curious as to why that was, if, that was sort of like the aspect of church that you wanted to highlight. And I don't know, I just wanted to have a discussion about sort of that setting and kind of what we think of the church in general, if this is what's happening, all this negativity, like people can't be happy. A lot of people, all our characters were depressed and sad. And it really came from, you know what I mean? Like we're going through a lot of hardships that if they didn't belong to a church might not be an issue. Like Nadia and Bruma would have married, you know what I mean? The gay guy or bisexual guy could have just been with his partner without fear of being judgment. Andrea and her husband might have gone to counseling if they didn't have fear of judgment. So I don't know. I wanted to maybe look at that a little bit.
So I don't think I wrote it out for it to look like the church is a bad place. The church is an amazing place. I feel
know.
like a lot of a lot of the things that prevent people from going to church, like people call it church hurts, and these are some of them. So I wanted to write about that, but I didn't set out to write, okay, don't go to church because they're judgmental. I mean, everywhere they're judgmental. I think the reason why people hone in so much on church is because it's supposed to be a place where people go for hope. It's supposed to be the place. I mean, and for the most part, it is. It is where we go for hope, where we go for compassion, where we go for love. But then there are these single instances of people going through these things that sours the taste for them. And I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
No, I mean, I appreciate that perspective for sure, because these are issues that aren't talked about and they're real. And I liked you humanizing, I guess, people, even people who go to church in the end are human and so not infallible. So I like that humanizing aspect. And sometimes truth hurts. Like this is the place we love, this is the place we revere, but truthfully, this is what's happening in some churches to some people, ABCD, and how do we, fix some of these issues? Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's not working out for you, it's fine to find the church that works out for you. There's so many progressive churches out there who will not shun you because you're pregnant, who will embrace you and embrace you with love and all of the things,
Yeah.
Be a good community.
Yeah. Which is really what church is meant to be. A place where we show the love of Christ.
Yep. And that should overshadow any other like sentiment or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that people should come to church and come and fool, but like when we come to church, we know that, oh, I'm going to be accepted for whoever I am, whatever I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So I think
So this is
that's
like
about it.
the end.
Yeah, I think this is the end. Everyone give a rating of the book. That's the last question. What is your rating out of 5? And then we can ask
Poka
Ross
rating.
if this discussion is going to make her want to read the book.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so ratings first.
I can go. I like that it was written in, I typically don't mind third person POV, even though I don't mind that. I like that. It's an easy read. The chapters are, I feel like there's no wasted chapter. Every chapter is very, also probably because it's a relatively small book. So, and it's not typically the type of books I read. So thanks for making me go
Okay.
out of my comfort zone. So I'll give it, because it's not the type of book I read, but I was able to keep me engaged for the entire time. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Nice.
Out of 5 or
I'm
10?
giving it a 5,
Out of
but
5.
I think people will think because I know you. And that's not influencing my decision. So 4.5 out of
Okay.
5.
All
Maybe
right.
it is.
That's pretty good.
Ooh, that's very generous, Jessie. So yes, perspectives. Here's my copy. Was very at first, I started a lot of books, but I don't always finish them. I was able to finish this one. It kept me engaged the entire time. I wanted to read to the end and finish it. So I think that's a sign of solid writing and like solid just and that wasn't sort of like any crazy plot twist, but it was just consistent, interesting things
I
happening
think
within
her
the book that
electricity
kept me
might have
engaged.
gone off. Sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Nanajwa's side. Yeah, where is she? She dropped
I
off.
think her power went out,
Oh,
perhaps.
I think her electricity power issues, perhaps.
okay. That's yes. I would give it a 4, I think. Maybe a 3.54, just because I feel like I wanted more character development. It was a very character-driven book, but maybe I wanted to like some characters weren't properly, like Wendy, for example, wasn't properly fleshed out. I don't feel particularly. Um, so for that reason, I feel like a 4 is a good mark for it. But really, it's a good book that you should pick up and read. I had no idea any of this. No, not that you have a sense of maybe what might be happening in the church and all of that. But for me, it was really new to read about and to really dive into some of these issues. And I was extremely proud of the author for, bringing up some of the issues that so need to be talked about. So I think as somebody in Ghana or even just in Africa or anybody who just wants to a better understanding of, what happens in religious societies, I think it's important to pick up this book and give it a read and to see how it compares. And the characters were also very relatable. I saw myself in Nadia a bit as well. So I think for all those reasons, worth a read for sure.
Awesome. Okay. So if Nanaja's power issues don't come up, if her power doesn't come back, I guess we'll end it without her. But Ross, do you think this is gonna make you want to read this book?
It's definitely gonna make me want to flip to find the characters you guys were talking about.
It's an easy read. I think this is like Tipora said, if you want to dip your toes back into reading, this is a very good getaway book.
Yeah.
Very straightforward. Not complex at all.
But interesting.
Character driven. And the characters are not too complex. It's easy to read. I think I finished this in a day.
Yeah. All right. I'm motivated to read it, but I am motivated to find those characters.
There
Especially
you
the one whose husband didn't like her going to university. Yeah.
There's a page, like my favorite part of the book is the artwork where you
Oh
have
my
all
God.
Yeah. We never
Forgot
talked
to
about
talk
the
about
artwork.
the artwork. Oh my God.
But yes, I love
yeah.
it.
What page is
Yeah.
that, Elise?
It's the very first 2 pages, like they flip out. First,
I can't
think
believe I didn't comment on the art. Yes. I
So
love
who was the artist? Because I love that artwork. Yeah.
so his name is
I
Steve.
didn't know. I
Really?
didn't see this. What?
That's what I was saying that this is I was saying that this is why I don't print with Amazon, because they said they couldn't do this. So then on Amazon it's only the ebook. So all
I
the characters
didn't
are
see there were
Oh,
visual
so
characters the whole time. I didn't know that. I read the
Yeah.
whole
I
thing.
love
I didn't
it.
see that.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah, so Steve, his company's name is Active. He did all the artwork, all the printing. Like I wanted embossed front of the cover. He did all of that. I think he's still in the business. So if anybody wants to print anything, but these were printed in China because it was hard for us to get printers that would do this in Ghana. So
Nice.
I thought Adiola was more attractive.
whoops.
Oops.
Well,
Jedu's attractive, mom. Yeah, okay. Bruma. Okay, now I see all the other women after Bruma. He's a good looking guy. Okay. Sarah's exactly how I pictured. I love this. Awesome.
all right. Nanaja, are you able to give your rating? Jessie gave a 4.5. Is she back? She is back, right? Yeah, there
Hi,
she is.
yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
And
I'm back.
Adele,
What did I miss?
you missed the ratings. What would you say? What would your rating be
Is it out of 5 or 10?
out of 5?
Out of 5. Okay, let's see. I think so. I like the themes that it explores, and I like that it gave us such great for conversation today, and really takes you places that you wouldn't even think about while you're reading the book. So I'm gonna say 4.
Okay, nice. So the average here is like 4.25. What's that? 4 plus
Let's
4.5.
pull out
Anyway,
my trusty calculator.
Four and a 4 and a 4.5.
But how
Yeah.
does one calculate an average? I never said I was a mathematician.
Ah,
Yeah.
hold on.
Very, very happy that hopefully I can put out the next book in the next couple of years, but we'll see. Months, not years, don't say years. But we'll see how that goes.
Months, weeks.
Weeks?
Oh yeah,
Is this
how long
your
did it
own-
take you to write this?
A couple years, maybe 3 years. So it started out as blog posts on my blog, and then people would comment and say this would be a good book, blah, blah, blah. So just before the pandemic, I thought, okay, let's make this into a book. So this was my pandemic baby, actually.
Oh,
4.16 is the average.
yeah.
But
So
That's
our
it.
Poka rating is 4.16.
yep.
I've
Wow.
always
That's
wondered as an
yeah.
author, how do you keep track of where you are as you're writing, especially when you're writing all of these different characters? Maybe there's something to talk about in the next
Yeah.
podcast.
I don't have a linear. I think that some people start a story and they know how it's going to end. I'm not one of those people. So I write as it goes. So it's sort of like, okay, I have a general idea of I want this person to be, say, a strong character, or I want this person to be hated. That's all that I know. And then I write a scene and then I put, say, circumstances, and then I flow with it. Okay, this is what a weak character would do in this circumstance. This is what a strong, independent woman would do in this circumstance, things like that. So I don't have like an ending of, okay, this is what's going to happen per se, but yeah. So that's my sort of process. And sometimes I write and then I think, okay, no, it doesn't sound like this person should be doing this. And then I scrap it, all of it, and then like rewrite the character. So yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of our discussion. I
Our
believe
first Poka Reads.
our very first Poka Reads.
Very exciting.
We do these discussions, what? The last Friday of every month?
For now.
For now.
It depends on the size of the book, guys. If it's a big book,
We have an entire month.
You have a month. Read.
We have
I'm excited for the
Right.
next one. The next
you've
one.
got
so
to.
that we in after we read Nanajo's book and Tipora's book, this is going to be my book club pick.
What is it?
What is
Yeah.
it called?
you gotta put it
I
closer.
can't see.
It's called
Is it a Sword of Kagan?
Your blur screen is
No,
blurry.
Turn it
It's not a
downward.
face. It's not a face.
Blood over Brighthaven. I think you guys would love it and all of the themes.
Blood over Bright Haven.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
But my
Amazing.
April book club pick is The Killer Willy Connection.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to tease the
Kenepona
next one?
Fatima.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to read along can find this on what? Amazon?
Yeah.
Amazon. It's also available in I think kind bookstore or Wesley Gone, but yeah, you can get hard copies on Amazon or ebooks on Amazon.
Yeah.
And where can people find perspectives if they want to read it?
Ghana Akinkan Books has copies and in the US and the UK. Please send me an Instagram message. So there are some copies on Amazon, but because they couldn't print out my favorite page, I'm shipping out copies to people that want to buy them. So
Great. Amazing. Well, yeah. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one, the next Poka Reads. Poka Reads, The Killer Willy Connection, right?
Yep.
The Killer
By
Connection.
Quentin. Well, is it two authors?
Kenepona Fatima.
Is it two authors? Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, we are. Well, we are one author when we write a book, but yes, we work on it together. So it's Kwatima Chineboa. I'm Chineboa. Abna is Kwatima.
Amazing. I love it. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining.
All right, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Oh no, you guys
Bye.
stay. Stay.